12 spine-chilling Oregon legends exposed. Discover the sinister haunts that still terrorize today. When Clara packed up her car with her 2 children, kicking off their escape from the chaos of the city, she had no idea how deep the shadows of Oregon's small towns ran. With a sun-drenched afternoon fading into murky twilight, the charming street lined with neat little houses instantly embraced them, its coziness wrapping them in a false sense of security. Yet soon, the whispers began. "Stay away from the woods," they'd say at school events, laughter intertwined with unease, eyes darting back toward the tree line as though it held dark secrets. Clara tried to laugh along, brushing off the tall tales she assumed were meant to thrill kids, thinking about the fresh start her family desperately needed. But as night descended, the story stuck to her thoughts like biting cold. Things that come alive at night. Anxiety curled around her stomach like a thick fog. One night, as her children lay asleep, rustling from the backyard broke the quiet, a sound both close and unsettling, making her heart race. "Just the wind," she whispered to herself. But deep down, she felt the weight of something sinister clawing at her conscience. It wasn't long before her daughter began to wake crying, haunted by dreams of a shadowy figure with dark, empty eyes peering in. Clara shook her head, pushing the fear away, but each tear outlined her little girl's raw terror, a fear that was now seeping into Clara's own heart. Then came the cryptic messages from local parents, shared on social media. Warnings, gray and spine-chilling, offering forbidden advice. "Don't venture out after dark," they advised. "Keep your children close." Was this what small-town life truly meant? The unease flickered like a dying ember, giving way to paranoia. What was hidden behind those homes? Was her neighbor's warm smile a mask for something darker? She baked cookies, attended welcome parties, but every laugh felt brittle, every gesture masked in shadow. The genial facade began to crack, revealing the chilling specter lurking underneath. One evening, as she half-heartedly laughed at her son's silly antics, a low growl rolled from the woods, making her blood chill. The laughter cut short, eyes narrowing at the darkness that encroached from the tree line. In a panic, she would glance out, where the wildlands swallowed the day. What lived beyond the tangle of roots, and why would no one speak of it? Was silence the price of survival? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The warmth of her new community grew colder by the day. Clara's instincts tightened around her like shackles. Every smile from her neighbors disguised something, an acceptance of the malevolent energies that stirred around her home like living nightmares. The lingering question echoed in her mind. Who were these people really? The tension thickened each nightfall, wrapping around her family like unseen chains. With terror closing in and darkness tightening its grip, Clara felt a reckoning approaching, one she could not ignore. The legends that once seemed frivolous now whispered truths far too dangerous to overlook. She had to protect her children, but from whom? As shadows finally swallowed the last of daylight, she swallowed hard, realizing the greatest horror was not in the tales told by children's tales, but in the chilling secrets those smiles concealed. Who or what would claim her family first? The next morning arrived with a muted light filtering through the kitchen window, casting long shadows across the worn table. Clara rubbed her eyes, exhaustion hanging on her eyelids like a heavy weight. She forced herself to prepare breakfast, the smell of bacon mingling with dread. Her daughter Lucy had not slept well. The child's lingering fear echoed through the room, her eyes wide and haunted. "Mama, can we stay inside today?" she pleaded, a slight tremor in her voice. Clara's heart sank. "Of course, sweetie," she replied, scanning the yard through the window. The woods hold dark and imposing against the pale sky. They felt closer, as if the trees were stalking her every move. After breakfast, Clara took a deep breath, resolved to put her unease aside. She tried to engage her children with board games, but excitement was replaced by an oppressive silence, punctuated only by Lucy's occasional whimper. Faint rustles beyond the window reminded Clara of the unseen danger lurking just outside. Later, while organizing the clutter in the living room, Clara noticed something gray and wrinkled sticking out from under a cushion, a note. With trembling fingers, she unfolded the crumpled paper, revealing a cryptic message scrawled in hurried letters. "The woods are alive. They'll come for you if you stray too far." Her heart raced, a surge of icy panic washing over her. Who had written this? Looking over her shoulder, she felt watched, the very air humming with a sinister energy. Shoving the note deep into her pocket, she hurried toward the kitchen, desperate to distract herself. Just then, a sharp scream erupted from outside. Clara rushed to the window, heart hammering. In the street stood a group of children, their faces twisted in terror. They pointed at the edge of the woods. Clara strained to see, but it was too dark beneath the canopy of branches. "Mom, what's wrong?" her son Jake yelled, runny-nosed and wide-eyed. "Go back inside." But the order felt weak. Every protective instinct flared in Clara as she stepped out onto the porch. "Is it the thing?" Lucy choked out, clinging to her brother. Before she could reassure them, Clara's neighbor, an elder woman with a hairline fracture of a smile, shuffled over, breathless. "You should keep them close. The stories, they become your truth if you don't heed warnings." "Is it happening again?" Clara stammered, fear slicing through her. "What do you know?" "It always happens when the moon is full," the woman breathed, her face pale as if any more color would flee from her skin. "Stay inside. Don't go to the edge." But the swirls of panic tugged at Clara, planting seeds of doubt. Why hadn't anyone else spoken up about the darkness? Who had gone into those woods before and never returned? As evening fell, unease tightened around her family like a vice. She could feel it, throbbing in sync with the setting sun. Shadows crept longer across the ground as the last light struggles to remain. Clara's thoughts raced, trapped within her fear. Could she really hold the darkness at bay, keep her children safe? With nightfall, thunder rumbled far away, vibrating through the town and filling the air with an electric chill. Clara glanced toward the backyard, where the familiar growl had haunted her before, now louder, deeper. It echoed within her, stirring the stories that warned her of something more. Then, without warning, midnight struck. A howl pierced through the night air, chilling her to the bone. The wildness felt near, a lingering presence that woke old fears. Clara's breath quickened. "What was that?" she whispered, heart racing. Jake and Lucy stared wide-eyed into the darkness that now swallowed their home. With dread burrowing in her chest, Clara realized she could either face the unknown or let it consume them. And as a figure crept closer from the woods, there was no doubt in her mind. Whatever awaited them would not stop until it got what it wanted. Would Clara be ready when the time came to confront the terror lurking in the shadows? Would she fight for her children, or would they fall prey to the legends woven into the community's silence? The howl lingered, hanging in the air, echoing off the trees like a sinister lullaby. Clara's breath seized in her throat, the air thickening around her. The night pressed in, and shadows danced with a life of their own, twisting and curling as they morphed into shapes that threatened to consume her whole. "Mama," Lucy whimpered, clutching her brother tighter. Jake, eyes reflecting a primal fear, shuffled closer to Clara, his small body trembling against her hip. Her instinctual urge to comfort her children battled with the suffocating dread that clawed at her sanity. The growl rumbled again, this time closer, richer in malice, resonating with a hunger that sent chills skittering down Clara's spine. What was out there, waiting in the darkness? "Inside now," she commanded, urgency flooding her voice. She turned, spirit forcing her to move, and the children followed, scurrying back into the safety of their home. But the door felt flimsy, as if it could offer no real protection from what lay beyond. Clara slammed it shut, locking it with shaking hands. The dim light inside felt like a poor barrier against the night. Gripping the back of a chair, she stared at the door, her heart a wild drum. "Do you think it hurt us?" Jake whispered, his voice barely above a breath, fear lacing each word. Lucas trembled at his brother's side, and Clara felt the weight of their eyes, wide and innocent, searching for reassurance she could not provide. "It's just the wind," she lied, but even to herself the words felt hollow. The howl came again, closer now, and mingled with a cacophony of rustling, snapping twigs and low growls, all converging into a terrifying symphony of primal hunger. Clara's mind raced with images of the stories she had brushed off as nonsense, tales told by old folks sitting on porches that now echoed in her mind like a death knell. Somewhere in that thick darkness, the truth shined like a flashlight through her confusion. The woods were alive. Something was waiting. "Mama!" Lucy screamed, causing Clara to jump. "The window!" Cold tiles against her feet felt like ice as Clara leaped forward instinctively. She pulled the curtains aside, eyes widening as a low shape darted past, barely visible in the meager light spilling in from the street. Clara's breath caught. She twisted to face her children, their faces tight with terror. "Get away from the window!" she hissed, her voice cracking. As they huddled together, breaths shallow and fast, Clara paced the room, her mind spinning. She began to search for anything that could protect them. A heavy lamp, a kitchen knife, anything to wield against the unknown. Then, sudden silence fell, palpable and menacing. The unsettling quiet consumed the house, the heartbeats of Clara and her children seeming to drum in double time against the eerie stillness. "That's worse," Jake murmured, and Clara nodded, knowing without needing to say it. Silence felt like a harbinger of what was to come. Just then, the power flickered. The lights dimmed to a soft glow before dying altogether, plunging them into darkness. Panic surged through Clara as she fumbled for her phone, when a loud feral growl erupted from right beyond the door. A sharp scratching followed, claws against wood. Each scrape sent electric shocks through her veins, and she rushed to turn the locks, reinforcing their flimsy sanctuary against whatever horror awaited them. "Get down," she whispered fiercely, motioning her children to the floor. Fear twisted within her. Would they break through? Would they find their way in? There's no way out, she thought, shadows swirling in her mind, whispering truths she didn't want to confront. Suddenly, a fleeting movement caught her eye. A flash, something darting around the corner of the house. It drew closer. The scent of damp earth filled her nostrils, mixed with a sweetness she could not name. A horrid realization dawned on her. Not sweet, sickly. With clarity breaking through her fear, Clara sensed their only chance was not just survival, but to confront the stories, the truth hidden in the darkness. But how? Could she muster the force to face what the woods could unleash? Little did she know they were not alone, not in a way she feared most. The scratching stopped. A voice, thin as a wisp, whispered through the cracks of the door. "Let me in." Clara's heart dropped. Who was it? What did they want? As the voice echoed in her mind, Clara braced against a choice that could change everything. And as the darkness deepened, she knew it was only a matter of time. Would she dare to open that door, or would she find herself drawn into a horror far greater than she ever imagined? The air grew thick, oppressive, wrapping around Clara as she stood frozen, her heart thundering in her chest like a drum of war. The voice was soft, yet it carried a weight that felt ancient, steeped in malevolence. "Let me in." The whisper swirled like mist, wrapping itself around her thoughts, digging into her resolve. Clara's hands tightened on the chair's back, knuckles white with fear. "Mama, please," Lucas whispered, his small voice quaking, and Jake clutched his brother's arm, trembling like the leaves outside. She could feel their panic, their small bodies radiating fear that seeped into her bones. Clara's breath quickened, her mind spun with questions. Who was this being at her door? Was it one of the wood's secrets, a trickster come to lure them into the dark? A desperate instinct for survival surging within her urged her to stay put, yet an eerie curiosity clawed at her to peek outside. "Don't! You can't!" Jake hissed, eyes wide and desperate. Clara turned to her son, searching his face for any hint of courage, but saw only unease mirrored in his gaze. The scratching resumed, sharper now, an insistent rhythm that matched the pounding in her chest. With each scrape, Clara imagined what lay beyond. Was it a creature, a spirit, or a lost soul seeking refuge? Or something far worse? "Please," the voice creaked again, laced with a desperation that nearly broke her. It sounded so vulnerable, so human. But Clara hardened her heart, ignoring the aching sympathy entwining with her fear. "Stay down, stay quiet," she urged, her voice a fierce whisper. And then she moved, galvanizing inside herself a force she didn't know she possessed. She led her children deeper into the house, towards the back room, where the shadows were thickest. As they crawled into the cramped space, the silence seemed louder than ever. Clara felt the chill of unseen eyes boring into them, and her thoughts raced. They needed a plan. They couldn't just sit and wait for that voice to become a nightmare. Suddenly, with a violent crash, the front door splintered, flinging itself inward like a wounded beast. Stomach dropped as she instinctively backed up, tugging the children further into the darkness. The growl erupted again, filling the air with palpable dread, and Clara sweated profusely as fear clawed through her. "Don't move," she ordered, gripping the knife she had found, the cold metal grounding her in the moment. A shadow crossed the hallway, moving with a speed that left Clara breathless. She could hear it, the heavy breathing of something that was no longer human. The whispering had intensified into a chorus of taunts, circling like vultures on a dying creature. "Let me in," it repeated, but this time with a deeper resonance, dripping with malice. And Clara felt her will wavering. "Why are you doing this?" she shouted, the knife trembling in her grip. In response, the entity remained silent, as if weighing her words. Then, with an unsettling shift, the scratching returned, this time more frantic, desperate. Clara's mind was spiraling. The tales from the elders filled her thoughts again, traps laid by malevolent spirits, evil summoning. But did it matter? The very essence of her children's lives felt perilously poised on the edge of chaos. With sharpened resolve, she steeled herself to face whatever horror awaited, knowing she had to protect her children. She would not falter. But just as she prepared to step out into the unknown, the tension shattered. The whisper shifted again, now growing thick with urgency. "Help me." Clara's breath hitched, tremors racing down her spine. Who was this entity? Was it truly seeking aid, or was it a trap cloaked in deception? Holding her breath, she glanced at her children, finding their faces drawn in fear, uncertainty flickering in their wide eyes. In that moment, Clara realized she stood at a crossroads. The door loomed heavy behind her, her hand hovering over the handle. Would she confront the horror that lurked in the dark, or succumb to the grip of fear that sought to paralyze her? As her hand closed around the doorknob, the stillness stretched, forming a taut ribbon of tension that threatened to snap. Clara's heart thundered once again, Was she ready to unveil the terrifying truth that lurked beyond? A new howl sliced through the air, a final warning, beckoning her to make the choice that would change everything. The doorknob felt icy against Clara's palm, her nerves raw and alive. She hesitated, a cold sweat pooling at the base of her spine. The voice echoed in her mind, wrapping around her like a vine, pulling her toward it. "Help me." Her grip tightened. Was it truly a plea or a seductive trap? She aimed to protect her children at all costs. With a swift inhale, she yanked the door open, bracing herself against whatever horror awaited. Darkness poured through as the moonlight flickered across the threshold, casting wild shadows that danced like phantoms on the walls. The night was alive with sounds, leaves rattling, branches creaking, and a sinister rustle that made her skin crawl. The whispering chorus faded momentarily, leaving nothing but a heavy silence that wrapped around her. "Mama!" Lucas whimpered, eyes wide and glistening with fear. Jake clutched him tighter, the brothers' bodies trembling in unison. "Stay here," Clara whispered, tension radiating from her core as she stepped outside, knife raised, scanning her surroundings. The air was dense, thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something rotten. The moon hung high, illuminating the yard, showcasing the twisted trees like gnarled hands. She had never noticed how the shadows seemed to shift, to breathe. Clara strained her ears, listening intently. "Help me." The voice carried through the night, lingering like a curse, echoing around her, pulling her deeper into the dark. Was it coming from the woods? "Mama, don't." Jake's voice cracked, burdened with dread. She swallowed hard, caught in a web of conflicting loyalties, her children's safety versus the undeniable call towards the unknown. Each step felt monumental, teetering on the edge of an abyss. Clara grit her teeth, summoning strength she didn't realize she had. As she moved further into the yard, she noticed something glinting in the shadows. Was it just a trick of the light? A shard of glass? No. It glowed, with a pale, sickly luminescence, beckoning her. Her heart raced as she approached, a mixture of dread and compulsive curiosity compelling her forward. Lucas and Jake stood frozen at the door, opposites of fear and curiosity in their wide eyes. "Don't go too far," Lucas cried, a quiver in his voice. But Clara was already lost in the mesmerizing glow. The whispers turned into frantic pleas, but as she neared, their words morphed into a growl, sharp and menacing. "All you have to do is come closer. Feel the truth." She gripped the knife tighter, the metal digging into her palm like a lifeline. That feeling, the urgency mingled with fear, was like a hammer pounding in her chest. Which truth awaited her? "Clara." The voice drew out her name, twisting it into an inviting lattice, filling her with a sinister warmth. "Get back," she shouted, fear illuminating her voice, but her feet felt glued to the earth. From the corners of her vision, shadows began to gather, dark figures forming from the very essence of night, pooling like oil. They slithered closer, drawn to the glow that called to her. "Mama, please come back," Jake screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the oppressive air, drowned beneath the growling chorus that now surrounded her. Desperation clawed at her, the urge to flee rising within. But that eerie light wrapped around her heart, squeezing tighter. Clara took another step forward, and the figures paused, as if waiting. In that split second, a realization deadened the air. The truth was not of salvation, but something far more sinister, something lurking beneath the surface. Just as she wavered, the shadows lunged with a swift intensity that sent tremors through her bones. And Clara found herself gasping, the knife slipping from her grasp. "Help me," echoed one last time, but this time it resonated from right behind her. With her breath hitching in her throat, Clara swung around, heart plummeting. Was it her children, or was it something else entirely that had answered the call? The darkness revealed more than she anticipated, and now it was too late to turn back. What emerged from the shadows would change everything forever. Clara spun, adrenaline surging through her, and her breath caught in her throat. The darkness coalesced into a figure, a silhouette that seemed to absorb the very light around it. Heart hammering, she braced herself, but every instinct screamed for her to run. "Mama!" Lucas cried again, both a plea and a warning, and as she tore her gaze away from the figure to look back at her boys, panic clawed at her stomach. They were still at the door, eyes locked on her with wide, terrified stares. Whatever awaited her was too close, too dark, too hungry. "Mama, help me!" The voice that drew her in was softer now, seductive, but it had twisted into something growling. It wasn't her children. It couldn't be. Desperation flashed in her mind, realizing the shadows were feeding off this darkness, evolving into grotesque forms of twisted limbs and grotesque faces that sneered at her from the gloom. "Get back inside," she ordered, the knife still clutched tightly, its handle slick with sweat. The figure stepped closer, and a chill swept over her. It was human-shaped, but its features were indistinguishable, shrouded in the black mist that clung to it. "All I wanted was to be free," it rasped, voice sweet like honey laced with poison. An eruption of wind screamed through the yard, and Clara had to fight to stay upright. A gust blew through her hair, lifting it as if trying to persuade her to join the shadows. They writhed eagerly, waiting for her to take just one step closer into their grasp. "Mama, run!" Jake's voice shot through the atmosphere like a bullet. The urgency in his tone broke through the spell encroaching upon her consciousness. Clara turned back towards her children, ready to sprint, but her feet felt heavy, confused by the pull of the figure. "Help me!" The figure beckoned again, and a fleeting glimpse of its features flickered in and out, like faces of people she knew, friends, neighbors, long since gone. The memories twisted in her mind, weaving warmth, then threaded with dread. They had all been lost, hadn't they? "Clara," it hissed, and she felt its cold breath wash over her, sending chills spiraling down her spine. The knife felt useless. She couldn't let herself be deceived. "No!" she cried, shaking her head furiously. It was a trap, a snare crafted from familiar faces and lost voices. Her children were her lifeline, and she could not falter. Focused, Clara forced herself to step back, her instincts sharp as glass. The shadowed figure recoiled, momentarily fraying at the edges, revealing glimpses of those who had been taken. That sight stirred something deep in Clara, a wellspring of courage. "You're not real! You can't take me!" she yelled, her voice breaking through the tension like a scream in the dark. The shadows reacted violently, screeching as if her defiance had pierced their soul. They surged forward, dark mists crashing against her, wrapping around her limbs, pulling, tugging. Lucas and Jake cried out, their voices like shards of glass stabbing at her mind. "Run, now!" Clara shouted, and she lunged toward the boys, tearing free from the cold caress of the advancing shadows. But as she turned to flee, the air shifted, a fog rolling in thicker than before. Grains of terror filled her lungs. "Don't let them take you! Don't turn back!" Jake screamed, his voice a frantic whisper. Clara glanced one last time, the figure distorted and shrieking, a cacophony of voices merging into a howl of rage. She whipped back around and sprinted toward the door, the darkness clawing at her heels, gnashing with hunger. The moment she reached the threshold, she felt the cold fingers of despair wrap around her waist, and with a last burst of adrenaline, she barreled through the entrance, nearly tripping over the threshold. "Lock it!" Clara shouted, her heart pounding in her ears. The door slammed shut with a thunderous crack, and Clara pressed her back against it, gasping for breath. The children stared at her, their eyes wild with fear. The whispers outside mixed with screams, rattling the house to its foundation. "You can't escape. We'll claim what's ours." Shivers cascaded down her spine as the ominous words vanished into the darkness. Breathing heavily, Clara panted, desperation settling the pit of her stomach. What waited for them outside? The house felt alive now, shadows creeping beneath the doors, the windows cracking under pressure. She couldn't shake the thought. Something was restless. Something had followed them from the dark. "Are we safe?" Lucas asked, trembling. Clara's mind raced. Nothing is safe anymore. Just as defeat grasped her heart, a loud knock echoed through the house, heavy and insistent. "Let us in," the voice chimed anew. Clara hesitated. Who was it? The shadows? Or something even more sinister? And for the first time, fear pooled in her stomach, deeper than the darkness that surrounded them. Could they remain together, or were they already too late? The knocking persisted, a relentless thud that echoed through the silent house. Each strike felt like a heartbeat, pulsating with dark urgency. Clara's instincts screamed at her to stay quiet, to disappear even into the shadows of their own home. But she couldn't ignore the dread clawing at her. Who is it?" Clara managed to stammer, forcing her voice past the rising tide of fear. The knuckles against the door were hard and unyielding, as though it could break through the wood with sheer will. "Let us in," the voice whispered sweetly, but it twisted her heart. It sounded like Lucas, but she knew. She knew what had tried to lure her outside. "Don't answer!" Jake yelled, his hands shaking as they gripped Lucas's shoulder. The boys pressed back against the far wall, eyes darting to the door, then to Clara, their expressions burned with terror. Unease rippled through the air, thickening like fog. The pounding became a chant, "Let us in," echoing in unison, crawling into her mind, filling her thoughts with suffocating dread. All at once, a window slammed open, jarring Clara from her thoughts. Cold air rushed in, pulling the curtains inward, distorting them like ghostly figures dancing in the dark. "Shut it!" Clara shouted, rushing to the window. She shoved it closed, her heartbeat drumming in her ears, the sound soaking up her panic. Outside, the dark figure was still there, just beyond their view, blending into the night. Shadows crawled along the lawn, shooting out like spiders on a web, reaching for her, waiting for a moment of weakness. "Make it stop," Lucas whimpered, pressing himself against Jake, who was trembling fiercely. They were so small, so innocent, caught in the grip of this horror. "Close your eyes, boys," Clara instructed, her voice steadier than she felt. "Don't look at the windows." But as she spoke, something wrapped itself around her heart, squeezing tighter. This was not just about her anymore. The energy in the room shifted, the air heavy, electric. It pulsed with their rising fear, and she could feel it clawing at the walls, hungry for release. "What if they're hurt?" Lucas cried out, just above a whisper. "What if they're really out there? What if—" "Stop!" Clara yelled, cutting him off. She couldn't bear the thought. It twisted her insides until she felt sick. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and an icy draft slithered across the room. Clara rubbed her arms, fighting the creeping cold. No, they wouldn't break her, not here. But each echo of that heavy knock sent shivers through her bones. "Let us in," it sang again, a chorus of her worst nightmares, merging laughter and cries. Struggling to keep her composure, Clara glanced over at the boys, who had their hands clamped over their ears, eyes squeezed shut, fear transforming their cherubic faces. If only she could protect them from whatever haunted the night. Then the walls vibrated, shuddering under the weight of an oppressive force. Every shadow began to twist and shift, glaring back at her, taunting her with glimpses of anguish and despair. Faces appeared and disappeared, but one lingered longest,
a woman with hollow eyes that seemed to drink in the light. Clara recognized her, a neighbor swallowed by the dark years ago. "No, you don't belong here," Clara screamed, rising to face the encroaching shadows. But the whispers grew louder, fusing into a chaotic howl. "Join us," they intoned seamlessly sealing the door to hope. "Mom," Jake's voice broke through the miasma of dread. "Behind you." Clara turned just in time to see a shadow darting across the room.
Lunging at her, it was faster than her mind could process, seizing her wrist and pulling her toward the abyss. "No! Get back!" she thrashed, but the grip was too strong, too hungry, and as it pulled her into the darkness, she felt the ground give beneath her feet. She had to fight. Clara twisted and kicked, desperate to grip the edges of reality. "Boys, help!" But the shadows had swallowed her voice, and as she tumbled, she caught one last glimpse of illuminated terror in her children's eyes before the darkness engulfed her completely. "Mom! Mom!" Lucas cried, a mere echo as she vanished into the void. Outside, the knocking paused, replaced by a silence so profound it felt like the world had come to a standstill. The boys faced the door, breath quickening, eyes wide with confusion and dread. "Will she come back?" Jake asked, terror flooding his voice. But the shadows outside were closing in, inching ever closer. The whispers swelled, and as fear tightened its grip within the house, the door trembled again, a sinister prelude to what was still to come. "Let us in," the voice lingered, cold as ice, teasing them from beyond the threshold. Panic surged through Jake and Lucas. What awaited them was a question too horrifying to articulate. And then it hit them. What if it wasn't just Clara who had been lost to the darkness? What if something else was waiting, something even more sinister than the shadows? As a flicker of hope flickered and died in their hearts, Jake did the unthinkable. He took a step towards the door. "What are you doing?" Lucas shouted, the words tumbling out in a panic. And a chilling thought struck them both. This night was far from over. The door rattled violently, shaking on its hinges, a dreadful proclamation that echoed through the stillness of the house. Lucas pressed himself against Jake, their faces contorted in horror as they exchanged trepidatious glances. "What if it's Mom?" Lucas whispered, fear clawing at his throat. Jake's heart raced, pounding against his chest like a bird desperate to escape. His thoughts whirled in a storm of confusion. "It can't be her. She wouldn't abandon us," he replied. But the words felt hollow, a fragile lifeline stretching thin against an unyielding void. The knocking resumed, each thud now like a countdown, burgeoning with foreboding. "Let us in." The voice melted into the air, wrapping around them, promising safety, yet oozing malice. "Lucas, we can't stay here," Jake said, his voice barely above a murmur, as he edged back, every instinct screaming to retreat. Yet in his gut he felt a pull, a morbid curiosity tinged with fear that dared him to find out what lay beyond, to confront whatever horror lingered just outside. "What if we should open it?" Lucas said, biting his lip. "What if it really is Mom?" "No," Jake cut in, his hands trembling. "Whatever is out there, it's not her. It can't be." But dread entwined in his mind, feeding on the uncertainty festering between them. Outside, the shadows flickered under the pale moonlight, stretching and curling like fingers grasping for what was once lost. It felt as if the very ground was alive, pulsating in unison with the chaos inside. Each thud from the door sounded like laughter, chilling and hollow, rippling through the air and wrapping tightly around their hearts. "What if?" Lucas's voice trembled. He could barely utter the words. "What if it was Mom who lured that thing? What if she's gone for good?" "Stop saying that," Jake shouted, the panic surging through him like fire.
But doubt haunted his gaze, a dark specter whispering that Lucas might be right, the harsh truth coiling in his throat. The door suddenly swung open, creaking like the sound of bones cracking. Light flooded into the dimly lit house, revealing the entrance, but it wasn't the warm golden hue they had hoped for. Instead, the doorway pulsed with a sickly glow, tendrils of shadow curling around its edges, like smoke twisting and curling around a flame. Terror gripped Jake's throat as the whispers became clearer, morphing into a chant that resonated with a dark familiarity. "Join us, let us in." It was a choir of the damned, teasing, beckoning, promising a reunion. But at what cost? Jake and Lucas took a step back as figures emerged in the threshold, silhouettes of twisted forms, warped and ghastly, like specters rising from decay. "Boys," a voice drifted through the echo of shadows, deep and sultry. "Are you ready to return to the fold?" Laughter erupted, cruel and mocking, filling the air with something rancid. "No!" Jake screamed, pushing Lucas behind him. "Get back, stay away from us." But the shadows surged forward, spiraling into the house, wrapping their cool, clammy fingers around everything they touched. The walls began to throb, pulsating like a heartbeat, drawing closer, its dark hunger rising. Lucas's eyes widened as icy dread washed over him. "Jake, we need to get out of here." He reached for the window, but the dark tendrils snaked around them, dragging them back toward the encroaching shadows. Clara's absence weighed heavily on them, stretching the fragile bond of brotherhood, a relentless chasm of fear starting to pull them apart. Desperation clawed at Jake as he glanced over his shoulder, but the darkness was relentless, a starless night trying to consume them. "Let go!" Jake roared, yanking Lucas back. They stumbled, pulling away from the creeping shadows, hearts racing as the whispers turned shrill, piercing through their minds like knives. "Together!" Lucas shouted, his voice breaking through the chaos. "We stick together!" But as they turned to face the dark, the figures melded into the shadows, their whispers rising like a storm. "Let us in." Their pleas were dark and seductive, echoing through the void. "What is that?" Jake whispered, the weight of dread settling like a stone in his stomach. "What kind of thing is this?" As they shuffled backward, their resolve began to waver under the weight of shadows. They needed a plan, but time was running thin. It felt as if the very air turned malignant around them, weighing heavy on their lungs. "Do we fight?" Lucas panted. "Or run?" Each choice felt like a knife in their hearts, but the darkness had found them, inching ever closer, a predator stalking its prey. Tangling thoughts threatened to crush him as Jake's hand tightened around Lucas, his voice thick and edged with desperation. "We have to find Mom. She has to be out there." "Jake, what if she's—" But before Lucas could finish the thought, the shadow lunged forward, its horrible grin splitting the darkness. And then they knew there was no true escape, not now. As Jake looked into the abyss, darkness pooled in his eyes, the full weight of despair crushing down upon them. "Together," he said again, his voice shaky but resolute, clenching Lucas's hand tighter. "Together," echoed Lucas, but the tremor now electrified with doubt. Outside, the echoes of tormented souls grew louder, rising to a fever pitch as the door slammed shut behind them. Where could they run? What awaited as they faced the night? An abyss of darkness awaited, a truth lurking that neither boy could grasp. The shadows still whispered, and as they surged forward, the boys realized they had no idea what horrors loomed just ahead. The shadows writhed hungrily. Jake and Lucas could barely breathe. Every inhale felt like it was wrapped in the oily stench of decay. They were trapped, consumed by darkness that pressed against them, tight and suffocating. "Back! Back!" Jake shouted, his voice cracked under the weight of fear. He yanked Lucas to the side, trying to pull him away from the oncoming tide of shadowy forms that seemed to coalesce right before their eyes. They moved as one, creeping closer, the flickering light around them dimming with each heartbeat. The walls trembled, a steady pulse like a dying beast, and with every pulsation, the wallpaper began to peel back, revealing ghastly faces twisted in silent screams. Jake felt the chill creep up his spine. Were these the lost souls trapped within the very fabric of their home? Jake, Lucas's voice pierced his thoughts, trembling yet urgent. The front door, we can... No, Jake interrupted. We can't go back there. It's a trap. The urgency in his tone cut the air thick. He had seen the danger loom from beyond, the abyss swirling behind that door. Yet the shadows began to tighten their grip, swarming like a horde of insects, whispering dark promises that clawed at their minds. Join us, find your mother. The echo of the words slithered around them, begging, coaxing. Jake clenched his teeth. We need to find another way, he whispered, his heart racing as he released Lucas's hand, eyes searching for an escape. Another window, perhaps? Or maybe the secret door in the corner. Look, Lucas pointed to the kitchen.
A glimmer of silver caught the dim light. A knife lay on the countertop, gleaming like a beacon of hope amongst despair. Stay close, Jake breathed, moving cautiously toward it. The shadows writhed, suddenly agitated, sensing their movement. Whispered laughter ricocheted inside the confines of their heads, sparking panic in Jake's veins. They darted toward the kitchen, the darkness slithering closer, but Jake felt something crackle in the air, energy, like static, wrestling with dread. He lunged for the knife, grasping the handle. Its coldness felt grounding against the chaos. Maybe we can fight them, Lucas stammered, grabbing a pot lid off the counter. No, we need a plan, Jake snapped, his voice strained but filled with determination. With the darkness closing in, he felt a sliver of resolve slice through his despair. We make a stand here. We have to face them together. But before they could think any further, the shadows surged, a mass of writhing limbs and ghastly faces. Join us, the disembodied voices echoed once more. Sadness, longing, madness filled the spaces between each word. Fight it! They're feeding off our fear, Jake shouted. He waved the knife in front of him, heart racing. The shadows hissed in response, pulling back momentarily, as if the blade had some power over them. Together, Lucas shouted once again, we can fight them together. Their hands met, a firm grasp of unity. Jake finally felt the warmth of his brother synchronizing with his heartbeat. They could feel it, a flicker of strength woven from their bond, pushing against the encroaching gloom. But the shadows were relentless. They pressed into the light, creating a cacophony of wails mounting just outside their sanctuary. The oppressive weight of despair crashed down as the figures surged forward, blind hunger chasing them for every ounce of fear. Now, Jake yelled, swinging the knife. For a brief second, the shadows splayed apart, but reformed quickly, swirling back to crush them. Then there was a flash, like an electric shock. The blade cut through the air and connected, not with shadow, but something real. The light flickered, revealing glimpses of warmth, a smile, a laugh. "Mom!" Lucas shouted, eyes going wide. But just as quickly as she appeared, she vanished into the dark, a fleeting mirage. "No, wait!" Jake screamed. The shadows howled, louder now, furious. The room dimmed, the air thick with malevolence, rage echoing through the dimensions. "You'll wish you hadn't. We'll take what's yours." The walls started to shift, creeping in towards them, the floor trembling like a living entity, rebelling against their escape, a warning of something deeper lurking. "What's happening?" Lucas cried, panic etched on his face. Jake clenched his jaw. There was no time left. They either faced this dark tide or succumb. "We're not losing anyone else." But with every heartbeat, the shadows spun, with their unearthly laughter, rising like smoke, devouring everything in their path.
"Hold on, Lucas," Jake breathed, wrestling with the shadows as they gripped him with tendrils of a frigid night.
"We're getting out of this." As darkness roared, a sound rose above it, a single voice calling through the abyss, stronger than the others. A familiar voice, echoing with promise and danger. "You'll never be alone again." What does that voice mean? What will they face as they stand against the abyss? The shadows writhed around Jake and Lucas, inching closer as darkness roared like a wild animal hungry for its prey. The air thickened, catching in their throats as fear turned tangible again, twisting into a suffocating cloud. Don't let it take us," Lucas cried, grabbing onto Jake's arm, eyes wide as he clung fiercely to his brother's strength. "You're coming back with us," Jake shouted back, the panic in his voice hardening into determination. He swung the knife, feeling its cold weight grounding him, a lifeline against the encroaching darkness. The shadows hissed, pulling back momentarily, surprised by the unexpected resistance. But it was short-lived. They swarmed forward again, unfurling like a dark wave crashing against fate, shrieking in a chorus of despair. "Join us! Join the lost!" "No!" Jake yelled, thrusting the knife forward again, the blade slicing through the darkness like a hot knife through butter. As it cut into the void, a bright light erupted, spilling over everything, and he caught another glimpse of their mother, Clara's face illuminated momentarily in the glow. "Jake," she called, her voice clear yet strained, echoing with urgency. "Listen to your hearts. You have to believe." "Mom!" Lucas screamed, extending his arm as if grasping her could pull her back from the very edge of darkness itself. But just as quickly, the light flickered, and she vanished, swallowed whole by the shadows. "Keep fighting," Jake cried, a flame igniting within him. With a fierce shout, he swung the knife again, aiming not just to defend, but to push back with every ounce of belief he could muster. "We have each other!" The shadows recoiled, their forms rippling with agitation. "You think you can resist?" A voice erupted, sharper than glass, dripping with venom. "You are but children against the tide, lost and afraid." "No!" Lucas exclaimed, voice fierce amidst rising terror. "We are more than that!" Their hearts hammered in unison, weaving a bond forged through shared fears and dreams. And in that moment, he felt it, a spark of courage igniting between them. The darkness hesitated. Just for a moment, the grip loosened, and Jake seized the opportunity. "Form a circle," he shouted, grabbing Lucas's hands. They turned, each brother's strength bolstering the other, solidifying a shield against the impending storm. "On the count of 3, we push it back." "Okay," Lucas nodded, eyes locked on Jake, determination radiating from him, even in the face of unspeakable dread. 1, 2, 3, they shouted together, pulling strength from the very core of their connection. The knife glinted, reflecting a flicker of light as they thrust it outward, their unity igniting the blade with a warmth that pushed against the dark. A shockwave erupted, light cascading outward like a born star illuminating the shadows. A violent shriek erupted from the abyss as ghostly forms scattered, driven away by the pure essence of their bond. "It can't be!" the shadows screamed, retreating, unable to withstand the power unleashed by the brothers. They faltered, dissolving into mist, twisting into an escape that wound for the far corners of the night. But it wasn't over yet. The mist held a dark, lingering force, still reaching out, still pursuing. A clawing hand grasped at their hearts, whispering promises of despair, desperation echoing. "Join us. Don't leave. Stay." "Keep going!" Jake roared, pumping adrenaline into their final push. "We have to find Mom. We can do this." "Together!" Lucas echoed, and they pushed back harder, each pulse of light pulling Clara's essence closer, fueling them with memories of her warmth and love. The howling and hissing cascaded into cries of anger and grief as the dark tide retreated further into the depths. With every tear shed for the lost and every memory shared, the darkness unraveled around them. Then they met a barrier, a translucent wall shimmering with light. "Open," Jake commanded, and together they thrust the knife at it, the blade reflecting pure white radiance. With one final surge, the light exploded, engulfing the space until it filled every crack and crevice with warmth. Jake and Lucas squinted, pushing through the blinding brightness, fear shred away like old leaves caught in the wind. Moments later, they broke free, tumbling into the bright haven that felt safely distant from the horrors they had escaped. Breathing hard, they grasped at the grass beneath them, finding solace in reality. And at the heart of that golden glow was Clara, still and radiant, finally free from the shadows that had claimed her for too long. The boys scrambled to her, arms wrapping around her, tears flowing as they held onto the embodiment of love and safety. "We thought we lost you," Jake's voice cracked. "I'm here," Clara whispered, holding them close. "You fought. You both fought for me, and together you defeated the darkness." Yet, as the warmth surrounded them, realization settled. A whisper of shadows still lingered, hiding in corners, waiting for another moment of weakness, lurking always, yet banished for now. This time, they had weathered the storm. "Mom," Lucas called, tilting his head up with that signature innocence maintaining its stronghold. "Will they come back?" "They will always try," Clara admitted, fear flickering behind her eyes, but matched with fierce resolve. "But you have what it takes to keep them away." With tears of relief streaming down their cheeks, the boys nodded, hearts stilled by the bond of family reignited and strengthened. Not just by shadows, but by light. They had faced fear and despair and emerged alive, together. As dawn broke above the horizon, casting soft hues of gold across the sky, shadows would always be there, but it was the love and courage they carried that would keep the darkness at bay. "We'll always stand together," Jake promised. As they watched the sun rise, and with it a new beginning, hope washed over them like a balm, knitting their hearts closer. They were safe for now, bonded not just by blood, but by their shared strength, ready to face whatever came next. So what now for Jake, Lucas, and Clara? Together, they would embrace the future armed with love and resilience, choosing light over shadows in every chapter ahead. And you, dear viewer, remember this journey they took. And as you share the energy of hope, remember to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comment section below with your reactions and theories about the ending. You need to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share the light of their journey.